Okay, well, I'm live, of course. I'm trying to figure out a lot of things here. One of the problems I have sometimes is dealing with these, let's see, Google Play cards. You try to redeem these codes you have behind here, and about 9 out of 10 cards, well, unfortunately, they don't want to redeem. So then you have to go through this whole thing with the customer service. And the problem is they are pretty much AI, where you can't you cannot get in touch with someone whatsoever. And as far as I'm concerned, it's just there have been times I wish I could just go through Apple, but I'm not about to do that. Well, because I'm on a what do you call it? Those mm, oh, I can't remember what it's called. Even though I look at it, I mean, it's more or less, uh, it's like a contract. You're stuck with it until the contract's up. So that's pretty much where I am right now. So it pisses me off. It's not much you can do but deal with it. And the thing is, I don't want to deal with it because I just threw out $30, which was supposed to help me through this. And well, it hasn't. Be right back in a sec. So, otherwise, I'm doing fine, I suppose. Uh, but yes, I'm live. Can't say I'm large and in charge by all means, but hey, I'm doing what I can. Yeah. So, I all think about the Broncos game this past Sunday. Yeesh. Well, considering the fact that I was upstairs here in here at home and was watching. God, what was I doing? All I know is I just, that back was bothering the hell out of me. So what I needed to do is get downstairs and hey, hey, I'm here. Glad everyone's here. Well, we've got a few people here. 63 Jerry, Nolan. Kind of scared. Don't worry, don't be scared, Nolan. Aviation 63 Jerry. There's nothing to be scared about. I'm just kind of wondering what's going on with Google. You know, many times they haven't had any problems, and now all of a sudden here I am having problems. Kind of one of the problems why I can't even go on. Yes, I support the LGBTQ and the black communities. I always have and always believe in them. To me, it's I to be honest with you all, I to me it's very important that I support all of them. Considering also you're not a transformer. Uh-uh. You are who you are. If you believe in something and you follow what you believe in. And I've always said that, including myself. I mean, for me, it's something that, it's something you believe in, or if you have friends that are within those communities, you believe in them. You give them positive support and, that, you are who you are. I mean, for me, some of my, best friends live in that community. Okay. So, I mean, you just, well, I mean, everyone, one thing I definitely can say is, depending on what communities you live in, some communities, uh, that was crashing out. Holy crap. See, that's, okay, was crashing out really bad? That's just crazy. I mean, just that those are the people that need the support more than anything else. I mean, for me, it's just, I'm always, you know, I'm always a friend to someone, always to help someone out. I'm the best, personally, one of the things that I've always been known to have is a shoulder to cry on, someone to talk to, someone to lean on. And for me, it's more about, the person inside and, how they feel about someone. Some communities may need to work on things. See, you know, I'm not against the Second Amendment. I can tell you that right now. Uh, it's just that for me personally, uh, it's have I fired again? Yes, I have. But this was years ago, and we're talking about what? 89, 1989. It was May 1989. Uh, yeah, we were. But the thing is, I was hunting. Okay. Hey, Roman, how you doing, Andrew? I definitely. It's just for me, and it's there's nothing wrong to be proud. I mean, you can be proud of your son for throwing his first shot. I mean, there's nothing wrong with hunting as long as it's animals. Not you just gotta. But you don't want to be pointing a gun at other people. Because of someone believes what someone believes and what they should be. Killing someone because of what they believe in is not the right way to be. Not the way to be raising. Our children. Plain and simple. For me, it's something that I believe in. My day's been good. My back is still doing what it's supposed to, of course, and that's being a pain in my ass. uh, you know, my bedroom right now is in my family room because it's hard for me to climb up the stairs. Uh, so I'm watching. For me, it's one of those things that I'm really. Eh. I'm getting by. I'm getting by. And the one thing that stinks right now, even though I'm changing the subject here, is that I may have to go in. I may, I'm not saying it's happening. I may have to go in for another back surgery because this drop foot that I have is really starting to drop really bad. It's getting harder to walk again. Eh. So, but I mean, but the thing is, one of the things that I've done actually during this time, especially being, you know, it's hard for me to drive. Have I tried? Yes, I have. But one thing that more than anything else, for me, it's I don't stop believing in it in people. I believe in people no matter what denomination, what color. I mean, whether it doesn't matter who you are and how what you believe in, as long as I can tell you right now, I'm going to believe in you. I mean, you're going to say that that I shouldn't believe. Look, everyone can believe in what they want. You can have what I guess my thing is that you need to these days you need to have an open mind. And there are a lot of people out there who don't. That's for sure. And to me that's just, it's not right. And you see it, and the government uses it as they're like pawn pieces. Like we don't need pawn pieces, okay? What we need to do is get along together and not be, for me, you know, I'm, you know, I'm someone who believes and loves with the full heart. It doesn't matter who the person is. You know, what I'm a believer in a lot of things. And it's just, it's who I am. Someone who I always was. Heck, in high school, I remember all too well where you know, I was always, you know, always had a shoulder, someone to talk to, someone that had a shoulder to cry on, and all that. And we're talking about the '80s here. Uh, the thing is, I mean, there's so much different between, then and now, it's just like, you need to have that support out there. If you don't have that support out there, then you're gonna wonder what the flying fuck is going on. Because it's like, hey, we need to be together. We need to believe in one another, and more than anything, we need to be getting through life together. And I've said this before, we all need to hold hands, believe in one another, and make sure that we can get through life together. Uh, we don't need to badmouth everyone because of, what their beliefs are. I mean, if someone believes in something that you don't stoop down to their level by yelling at them and saying, you deserve to be this, you deserve to be that. You know, you're better than that person. I knows. I mean, one thing we need to know is, definitely find out is that, you know, who are we inside? And that's the main thing is, if we don't know who we are inside, then number one, I can tell you one thing right now, never judge. You don't want to judge a person. Okay? To me, that's a crock of shit. You judge someone, then they're gonna judge you right back, and that's when you keep on telling yourself, "Hold on here, this is not who I am." And how dare you, think this is the way I believe in you when the person doesn't know jack shit about me in the first place. And again, everyone's got opinions. You can always tell someone, okay, well, your opinion sucks, but you don't. You just want to, bite your tongue, and deep down inside, you're screaming every single, name possible. But deep down inside, that's why I call it, primal screams. If someone's really pissing you off, you know, just give it up 5 minutes, or if you need to walk away from the conversation, get outside, give one of the loudest primal screams you can, and to get inside and say, "How you doing? I'm doing good. Can I show you at the door because I'm sorry, but I just don't agree with what you have to say." Uh, it's just nothing personal. And someone can take a look at you. So what are you talking about? You don't believe what I believe. What I have to say. As far as I'm concerned, what we have to realize is what we need to go. We need to grow. It's not just as people, but as a nation, and we're going back. No kings, okay? And I say this, and I really mean it. No kings. That's the way this nation. That's when this nation started was with kings, and afterwards we had no kings because we had presidents. And unfortunately, the one we have right now thinks he is a king. No, no. He visited a king, and that was across the pond, right? You know something? They're not one to judge. And if you heard a king or queen or someone judge, I mean, then you're really wondering, why is this person in royalty if they're going to speak a certain way? It's the same thing when you talk, presidents shouldn't even talk that way, but yeah, we do. And again, freedom of speech. Hmm. Maybe there should be some ways where the freedom of speech can, as far as I'm concerned, you end up in jail or whatever the case, or maybe in some sort of like gulag. I wouldn't say that so much, but anyway, it's there are many things where you need to believe. You need to do things that you feel is right in your heart. Okay, and to believe what's in your heart is to believe in everyone, and and love everyone. I mean, we need to go back. We got to go back. Great times. To go back to, even though we aren't really going through much of a war. Not going through a war right now. Is go back in the '60s and early '70s, and hey, you know, everyone would say what, love one another. Dude, let's trip a little bit of acid and love one another, no problem. I mean, hey, I'm not saying doing drugs is the right thing to do, but if we go back in the 60s 1960s 70s and see what that was like then, when at that time, there were a lot of demonstrations as far as the Vietnam War was concerned, and people were saying, well, that's the war we should not have been in the first place. Uh, yeah, yeah, I agree with that one. I'd be stupid not to agree with that because it's what I read, learned in history classes. And for me, it's just one of those things. You learn this stuff in history. It's not hearsay. This is exactly what happened. Then you hear, oh, this is a conspiracy. That's the reason why that happened. This stuff is a conspiracy. Okay. If you want conspiracies, then you can go to the nearest conspiracy website and say, okay, this is what I'm going to believe in. Fuck that. Fuck that. So anyway, my rant for the night. But I'm going to change the pace here a little bit. How about the Broncos the other day? On Sunday. I left from my bedroom to go to my hospital bed that was downstairs. And within the 2 minutes, I went from upstairs to downstairs. All of a sudden, the Broncos were tired. I'm like thinking to myself, whoa, what the hell just happened? How did the Broncos catch up so fast? I wish there was a way I could go rewind this whole thing, but I couldn't. I had to go by is what what was to the sports earlier, whether it was ESPN or even my friends even posted something on Facebook. For me, it's like, and then the final play being 2 seconds left, and the Broncos kicking for that field goal. That shit's crazy. Oh yeah, what I gotta say is 4-2. The Giants should have won that. They knew that, but the Broncos, we showed up for the last 6 minutes in the game. From and the part that drives me fucking wild about the whole thing is like I asked, "What happened? What happened?" I mean, it was kind of like a pit bull, wondering what happened. You get that look. Sometimes pit bulls get that look, or even dogs just go. They tilt their heads. Like wondering what the hell's going on. That was me. That was me. Hell of a game though. Hey, if there was worry that my ears can flop over my head like a German Shepherd, I would do so. But unfortunately, they don't. Other teams that I just find totally whoa. I didn't expect this to happen. Indianapolis. You got Indiana Jones there, Daniel Jones. You got from New York. It makes you wonder with Daniel Jones is that maybe, and you got a lot of people that think this, and it's very possible. Maybe it was the head coach that caused this, and they didn't give up on. They didn't give up on the coach, but they gave up on the quarterback. Well, now the quarterback is in a different situation with a different, and probably the stress isn't there. Stress isn't there. All of a sudden, it's like I have freedom as a quarterback. I have freedom to do what I can. I'm easier to work with. Wow, this is totally fucking amazing. A comeback player of the year. Yeah, Jones has got my vote on that one, big time. This Dart kid, he's good, and so is Scotabo, Boo. I don't know how to exactly pronounce it, but he's hey, those two are legit. Okay, so I mean, you can't take one game and say, oh, that's it. They're going to go back to the rookie years. Like, yeah, they can be rookies and have incredible years. Look what happened last year with Daniels in his name Daniels in Washington and Knicks. No one expected them to do what they did last year. especially Knicks. Uh, you know, Jaden Daniels. Yeah, he rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year, and Knicks came in second. But no one expected Knicks. And that's the part that cracks me up. But Daniels, Jaden Daniels, though, I mean, he just, they expected him to be who he was, and he is who he is. Like, unfortunately, got been injured a couple times, but he comes, shoots back up, and he knows that this is a team that chose him. He has chosen the path that very not many people have have that gift to be in football and be a quarterback, wide receiver. Whether you're uh, playing defense on the line or cornerback, and those cornerbacks, I tell you what, those guys are fast, and you got to know. As be called something like that, roadrunner. You know, I mean, there's definitely, yeah, call me a homer if you want, but Sertan though, he's one of the best out there, and you have Riley Moss. Uh, but you have the guys from uh, Sauce Gardner and the Jets. And you would think I probably wouldn't know who he is. Oh, I do. There's a few others, that one that left from Philly. I can't remember where he went to, but I want to say Houston for some reason, but I could be totally wrong on that one. But something, Philly still got a good defense, and Kansas City, as much as it's hard for me to mention the name, but their defense is better than people think, and you can't really rest on them. I would say the Chargers, but they're banged up pretty bad. Let's see what happens with them. But to see the Broncos at 4-2, I can tell you one thing. No one expected them at all to be 4-2 at this time. I mean, you take a look at some of the games that they have later on. They hit the hardest part of their game so far, but they still have hard games to go. Dallas is not a team you can just walk over. They got to put in defense. It's their defense. Their offense is good, but their defense. To the ones who are in Dallas, I'm sorry, but I've seen the games, and their offense is good. So, anyway, yes, I do. I do remember you, Proud 19. Yep. Yep. I'm on here. 6 or 7. Is that what? That's some. There's something that that actually. Hold on. Wasn't there something on South Park with the 6 or 7? I'm still trying to understand that whole thing. So I mean, slang. I have no idea. But I was born in 1967, so when I see 67 or 6 or 7, it's like, okay, I'm down with that. It's the year I was born. If you say it's 67, but if you say 6 or 7, so it's like slang. I'm kind of curious what it means. It's definitely not 69, and we all know what that means. Get your minds out of the corner. Yes, the Broncos are good right now. I agree with that one. And they, to be honest with you, and I was looking at their schedule today, they probably could lose about 3 more games and still be 12-5 for the year. And it's seriously when I say this, because their defense, that Greenlaw, I have, yes, with Tampa Bay. So Tampa Bay, he's a great wide receiver, and he's been phenomenal. Through the years, when he's been playing. I know. He's just got hurt, if I remember correctly. Yep. Sometimes I wonder the same way with myself. Actually, it just got a concussion. You got to, And what stinks is you could do so much tech, to make these helmets so much better for our players out there, not just professional, but on a high school, uh, you know, there's a called Pop Warner football. I mean, see, and that'd be awesome, and the thing is to just, you have a dream, you follow your dreams. You can, because you can do it, and you can do it. Don't anyone tell you otherwise. If you want to play football, you can play football. You can do it. Defensive back or running back. Nice. Nice. If there was one position that I mean, it's hard to, one of the things that I find amazing, and, some of the some of the players out there who can do, offense and defense. What's his name? Travis Hunter, I guess, with the CU who won the Heisman last year. Uh, this past weekend, actually. Yep, Travis Hunter, that's right. And he's been doing good for Jacksonville. But, I've been talking to some people and they're wondering, is Lawrence really the guy that should be the quarterback in Jacksonville? I mean, the answers that I've had are, I don't know about that. I mean, he's good, but he's not great. He's not you don't, you sign the guy feeling that this is a guy who's going to hold you. He's going to be a lifer for our team here. We're going to go to the Super Bowl. We're going to win. The thing, and you hear that, and you kind of think to yourself, is this, really, you really have to think, you're thinking to yourself, you know, and he's playing, which is good, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And you followed your dream, you're playing, and and you're doing something that he had a dream for, and he's doing it. He's doing it, and hey, kudos. I mean, you when you set your mind to something, you can do anything. And that's, I told my kids the same thing. I have three daughters and one son. Uh, my son played baseball, through little league and through high school. But he decided he wanted to do something else instead of play baseball. But he did very well. Thing is, he's left-handed, and he wanted to play shortstop. When he was told, well, you can't play shortstop, but you can play third base. Uh, he was down for that, so we played. Oh God, my opinion for the Super Bowl. Jeez. I say it's still too early to make that prediction. I don't know. The way, well, you're going to call me a homer here, but right now, the way things are looking in the AFC, Denver, Indianapolis in the AFC, and in the AFC, it's either going to be Detroit or Tampa Bay. Yeah. So, in my opinion, if I were to dig that deep down and soul inside my crystal ball here, I would say Denver, Detroit. Exactly. There's a reason why the Colts are 6-1. I seriously think when I say this, that you know, uh, Daniel Jones, who played for the Giants, and now he's playing with a totally different team, which is the Colts. Yep. Hey, Roman. Yeah, and as far as I'm concerned, I mean, we're looking, if Jones still keeps on doing the way he's going here, I mean, he wasn't. I take a look at Jones. That it's not a product of what he did; it's what the head coach has done. Sometimes a head coach can be very toxic to certain players. Uh, Negativity. Thank you, Rowan. I appreciate that. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, you know, talking about subscribing, for all you can always check me out here. Retro Rockstar here. You can find me. It's I'm having fun doing this. Last time I think I was on. See, and you're not wrong with that one here because Niners, Eagles. I mean, the only thing because I'm originally from Philadelphia, but I was born in Philadelphia, but moved out here in Denver actually uh, when I was 8 years old. So I mean, so I didn't really follow football until here in Denver. So yes, the Eagles will always be it was always been my favorite team, but watching the Broncos, since I followed when I was 10 years old, when I finally started watching. Yep. See, and it's the same thing with the Eagles too. The Niners and the Eagles. If they can get their D going, they're going to be dangerous. I like Purdy. He played right tackle. See, and that's a great position. If I were to play, I think as I'm, you know, at one time, back, I was 5'8". I wasn't the fastest person in the world by all means, but but I, I love watching defense. For me, that was what I like playing. Like a defensive line type of person. But I wasn't big enough to do so. One of my friends tried to talk me into go into wrestling. Almost did, and it's just so. Then I said, "Oh well, then maybe 10. Hey, tell you what, keep on believing. You can do this. You can do this. I know you can. And when you're young, you can definitely do it. Do do whatever you need to do to believe in yourself. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." No, you're welcome. You're very welcome. Yeah, for me, it's just when you have a belief in something, you don't let anyone toxic, don't let anyone bad talk. No one ever tell you what you can and can't do. If you can do it, you can do it. Didn't on your tongue. See, you too. When you have the size for it, and you're talented, with the baseball, football, hockey, basketball, something. 4%. Okay, and you still have some. Both you still have some time to grow too. Where you know, it's the world's your oyster right now. You're gonna, you have, a lot. You have some time. You're young. You can do this. You're playing. You played defensive back, or you're running back, or offensive lineman, or even a wide receiver. Anything, any position. Would be it's something you want. It's something you work for, and this is something you're gonna do. Deep down inside your heart, this is something you can do. Especially, you can take a look in the future. So and all of a sudden, you can be playing in college, and all of a sudden, you get nominated. For the Heisman. Being nominated is awesome. Is but winning it, that's something good too. That's something great as well. It's just it's amazing. So you do it. It's you know you know it's a mental toughness. Good, good. That's what I want to see. That you'll be on top. That's what I want to see. That is what I like. Hearing. That's what I love reading, and that's what more than anything else. With today's, with everyone that gets young out there, you can do whatever you believe in. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Unfortunately, though, when you're at a certain age, we have to listen to what our parents have to say. Don't get me wrong. What your parents are trying to do is try to steer you on the right course. Okay, but but you're playing football. And this is something when you do, and your parents are all supportive, playing football and all that. You do it. You work your ass off, and that's the main thing you got to do. I mean, you just love yourself, work hard, play harder. So I got to say, because when you work hard and you play harder, you realize, that's where your mindset is. This is what I'm going to do, and get good grades. Oh yeah, you do. That's exactly. And when you want to help your family, make money in order to do so to help your family. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. You just, you do what you can, you know, you keep up to, I believe in myself. I want to do this for myself. And hey, if you're in football, keep doing football. Oh, I got him. I was getting into my what do you call it? I was getting into my serious look, my coaching mode. Uh, they're on. Uh, I coached my son in Little League baseball. So for me, watching other kids, when they're about 9, 10 years old, 11, 12, and for the few years that I did so, oh God, he's uh, how old is he now? Let's see, he is 27. So, and he does well for himself. He wanted to play baseball, but he went to college. And he worked his ass off, and he does a good job now. And the thing is, one of the things I always told my kids was education is important. As much as you want to, you can play ball, you can do anything you want, but you have to remember, you have to keep your grades up too if you're gonna, play ball, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, hockey. Some of these places actually you can, you get scholarships. Get a scholarship, pay, that pays for your school. It's like, damn, this is good. If I need to keep my scholarship going here, I need to get these good grades. You know, schools, it just depends. They want you to have B's and A's and that's it. But, you got to, but you just got to work hard and play harder. In most schools, you have to have like a C average, B average to graduate, and, do things. But you can, but your strengths and where you're talented in, with baseball or football, in this case football because it's football. Your football, has just started. You can have the most amazing mind for football, especially when it comes to your Wonderlic scores. They can be phenomenal. And and these are sometimes you get these talent scouts they're out there. When that are looking for the next best player that's out there, and you get drafted, and all of a sudden you would say, hey, something, I want to show these people what I know. And Ohio State is a great, great, great college to go to. I have a couple of friends that went there and they loved it. And I have a friend who lived there as well, and it's like look guys, oh yeah, yeah, it's it it really, oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, they have a great program there. I mean, there are definitely other, there's Ohio State, but follow your heart where it wants to go, and that's one of the things that I always, told some of the players when I was, doing coaching baseball. It's like don't, my big thing is if this is what you want to do, work your butts off, and realize if and work, just work hard, go through school, do what you need to do in order to get through school. Uh, just learn that position, be the best you can be. Football, baseball, you know, basketball, hockey. you know, kind of like, you know, hey, that's what, do it. Just do it. That's all I got to say. That's what you're going to do it. The only person who's going to get in the way of that is yourself. Yeah, and you don't want to get away from yourself. You got a dream, you've got to follow that dream. Okay? So keep your eyes on the prize. That you got to have that vision. It comes from your eyes knowing and stay focused because that's what you want to do. And you're going to do it. Why? Because you believe in you and family believes you, and I know I do as well. So, well, we are, let's see, getting on to the 41st minute. I got my coaching thing going on there. But I tell you what, though, one thing I was told is I have a great coach. I was a great conditioning coach as well. Now with my back, I can't do much of that anymore, except for just probably yell and say, no, that's not the way you do it. But that's not coaching by yelling at anyone. That doesn't do anything. You need to get in the trenches and do what you need to fight in order to get yourself going. Focus, the eye on the prize, and you have that. No one will get in your way. For me, my eyes on the prize was music, and I did Taekwondo. So that was one of the things that I wound up doing. And for me, at Taekwondo, pretty much was close to being black belt. But I got out of that. Of course, and again, also got out of college. Got married at a young age. But that was where I was focused at the time. Why? Don't ask. For me, it's one of those things that I just felt like that's what I needed to do. Did it answer a lot of things? No, it's not. The key is to and this is what I'm saying here is that if you want to kids have good family values, not yelling, and just making sure your kids are going on the right straight and narrow, and making sure that they're not doing anything wrong. Because sometimes the hardest thing as a parent is making sure that just not yelling, but be under. For me, I was more of an understandable person, where it's like okay, if you're gonna party, bring some friends home. We'll talk about it then. If you want to party at home, that way everyone stays at the house. They spend the night, and I was all cool with that. Drinking, no drugs. Nope, not drugs at all. Drugs, or the case may be, no way. If you're gonna be serious about something, that's one thing you do not get into at all. Drinking can get you kind of lose your focus on what you really want to do. What you want to do is, like I said, I was in the prize. You want to play football, okay? Of course you're going to party when you're in college and in high school. There's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, you don't want to lose focus though either. Because you still need your grades being up there, right? So it's good to be. I guess for me, is someone who I'm a positive person. And as a coach, I've always been positive, making sure that, the kids that I coached were going the right way. I was always there for them. Always had a positive word. And if I remember correctly, I think 3 of the kids that played uh, with me, in Little League, are they're in the minors. So they're in AAA right now, which is, pardon my language, fucking awesome. So it's like, I'm sure I'm not the only person who, got them playing there. And I'm sure they had a lot of coaches as well, or managers. But I tell you what, when you have someone who's positive and wants to steer you in the right way, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Just listen to them. Listen and tell you and do what you want to do. This is what happens when I talk too much. Then my jaw starts getting a little tired because I'm flapping my gums too much. Man, 45 minutes. I think I'm going to be calling it here fairly soon here. What happens after a while is when I take my medications for the day, it kind of, for my back, kind of gets me kind of drowsy. And, well, maybe about close to an hour ago is when I took them last. And oh boy, I'm getting tired. So, I'll tell you what, I'm glad, happy with everyone that has been out there tonight. I mean, I'm from Mountain Time Zone. For everyone else, who's living in the East Coast, the West Coast, North, South, East, West, all points in between, all I gotta say is that you all can do whatever you want, especially if you're in sports, if you want to act, anything that makes you a positive person. Do what you believe that's inside your heart. It doesn't matter who you are. Okay, oh, definitely, Prize. Definitely. Okay, I'll see you next time. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be going live a little bit more. Last time I think I was on was like a couple of weeks ago, so it could be the same thing again in a couple of weeks. Just to get my energy back, and I'm going back to school as well. CSU, Colorado State University, and that's online. So great school for us. If you have a lot, doing stuff from home and all that, just not gonna. But for sports and all that, you're definitely better, being on campus. It's fun, trust me. Until then, hey, everyone that's out there, you'll have a great night. You can find me at Retro Rockstar. Remember, got music here as well. The class of 1980s. We have I have music from the 90s, the millennium, today, which isn't too much from today, but I'm working on that. Some 70s, and even a mix of everything. You want it? I got it. So actually, also have Christmas music, the holiday music coming up, and hey, check into the horror book. Check into the horror themes. That'll get you going. Until then, you know where to reach me. Until then, you have yourselves all a good night, and remember, I love you all. You're all great. Thank you for being a subscriber, and I'll tell you one thing, I'm looking forward to seeing y'all more. Have a great night.